All right, game number 8, which is named after Crystal B. Faust. Don't know who that is. Probably should have done the homework, but didn't. In Austria, we have Jonathan Frank from my home state of Maryland. Go Terps. In England, we have John Camacho from Florida. France is Morgante Pell, who is from Vermont. Morgante is an Italian name. I was curious about it, so I went and asked him. And he grew up in the U.S., but his family is of Italian origin. And Morgante Pell is the champion name of this tournament. How about you guys?
Yeah, best name we've seen all day.
Yeah, like Natty Fraser or something like that was I think a close second.
Close runner-up, but Morgante, like this is straight out of like an Ursula Le Guin novel.
Yeah, Morgante. It's also a very smooth Chianti. In Germany, we have Stephen Hogue out of Kentucky. Stephen is a relatively new face-to-facer, but one that has made a big impression very quickly. Italy is Chris Nicholson out of Colorado, a former badasser that has played with Eddie Brisson. I just chatted with him a little while ago. Back in 2007 is when he said he went to whipping. Russia, Jeff Dwornicki out of Oregon. And in Turkey, we have Evan Hegerud out of Alberta, Canada. And with that, do you guys have anything else to say about any of these players?
I don't know them super well, but some of them have been on the streams before. I don't remember Chris Nicholson from his badass days, but I was also like 18 years old. So that was a long time ago.
All right, let us move on to some moves. And Siobhan, you were in the West for me in my first go around. Why don't we switch you over to the East now?
Sure.
All right, and Doug, we'll put you in the West. And
sounds good.
All right, Siobhan, tell us what you see in the East.
Russia and Turkey are very boring. The Austrian is boring. And the Italian very optimistically thinks he's going to get into Trieste. So well done to Jonathan Frank for sniffing that one out.
Yeah, this is not Trieste to Venice isn't so boring, is it?
No, it's not so boring. It's a perfect defense not leaving Trieste open for that. And I wonder if the Italian just said, you should give me Trieste in 01. And Jonathan's just like, no.
Or maybe didn't say that, but in a really bad way.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Doug, tell us about the West.
What draws your eye immediately is that bounce in the channel.
Juicy.
Yeah, that's really interesting. England's a little lucky that Russia didn't go north. So, England's still going to get Norway, but probably removes the opportunity for Belgium. So, we'll see how that plays out. But yeah, that bounce is always interesting to see. And, I hate when that happens. I love when I get there. I hate when I bounce there.
Yeah, it's the first bounce in the channel we've seen today. Yeah.
I think we saw one John Jameson and Alec Maslow, which is not shocking.
Yeah, I mean, it's Jameson and Maslow. Come on.
It's practically obligatory in that case. Who does it hurt more, in your opinion, Doug?
I think this hurts England a little bit more. France is so eminently defensible that picking up 1 in 01 is fine. I just don't want to be stuck like that as England. So, normally you could defend if France goes there because you have your army in Yorkshire. So I'd rather have that position than a bounce.
Yeah, and especially with the German apparent friendly and no army in Piedmont.
Yeah.
A lot less to worry about. Okay, let's move on to fall of 1901. We'll stay in the West with Doug. Show us around.
All right, we got another bounce.
Lots of trust there.
No, you will not go there. I'm not sure why Germany supported into Holland. That doesn't make any sense to me. So supported Russia into Sweden, so that's all fine. But the support there, that tells me that you might have an FG here heading out for a Sea Lion. So I'd be paying attention to what Dwornicki builds in the north up there. Otherwise France gets 2 builds. Can't build in Brest, so that might slow it down. Do you put 1 fleet in Marseille and wave if you're doing a Sea Lion? I might.
What about 2 fleets from Germany? Possibility?
I'm not sure that you need 2 fleets at this point. You definitely want another one, but putting 2 down, invites people into the vacuum where your armies ought to be.
Yeah, we've seen a bunch of 2 army builds from Germany today. Kind of one of the themes of the tournament, but no 2 fleets. All right, Siobhan, what happens in the East?
As a result of the Italian-Austrian fight, Turkey winds up with Greece in 01. Well done on that, Evan. Austria's trying to make peace with Italy, but Italy's like, nope, nope, I want Trieste, going to march those armies up. So that's unfortunate for Jonathan Frank. I wonder what broke down in the negotiation that resulted in this.
And Turkey getting the two armies into the Balkans.
Yep, you don't see that very often as Turkey, and it's a fantastic opportunity when you can get it. And I'm curious to see who he plows into or props up.
Yeah, it's an oddly passive follow-up from Jonathan Frank in Austria, isn't it? Given the seemingly very prescient defensive moves in spring of 01.
Something fell apart in negotiation there. That's all I can guess.
All right, let's look at builds then. 01 builds look as follows. We'll start in the east. Turkey puts down a fleet and an army. Interesting. Definitely, you could see that waving that second build, actually. It's not clear exactly what the army's going to do other than try to get... It will definitely get to Khan. Wow, look at this. Turkey without any fleet in Ionian or Greece.
Aegean, Eastern Med, Constantinople.
Guaranteed entry.
Wait, so do we think RT here? Oh, yeah, with the St. Pete North Coast.
St. Pete North Coast. We've got a fleet South Coast, Marseille. That makes sense. We don't get two fleet builds from Germany, so Germany has a lot of strategic flexibility here. Well, and an army Rome.
Yeah.
Second time we've seen that today.
Yeah, I don't like that army Rome there. I want that fleet in Naples.
No.
All right, speed quiz. Who do you want to be on this board? Doug Moore.
I want to be Turkey.
Siobhan.
Yes, all day, every day.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Let's go. Spring of 1902. Let's start in the east with you, Siobhan. What jumps out at you?
There's a little bit of lack of communication between Turkey and Russia about what unit was moving to Serbia, which is unfortunate because that means Turkey does not get it this turn. Italy continues his march up into Bohemia and Tyrolia, but Rome goes to Tuscany, which is it's a choice.
Yeah, indeed. Probably a misclick. Let's give a little bit of
with only one Italian fleet in the water, Turkey is going to roll through this. Some little Russia takes Norway. Norway goes to Finland. That was optimistic. And I will stop talking now because I'm getting into the West.
Yeah, by the way, it's worth pointing out that Vienna supports Tyrolia to Bohemia. So actually, this may have been deliberate in order to put Austria at ease. But in that case, I mean, it should have been a fleet to begin with.
It should have been fleet Naples every time, especially Turkey building too.
All right, Doug, tell us what happens in the West.
Well, I like that England and France have moved away from each other because I don't think there's any need to continue this attack. If you want to do it, you can. But, France is in a fine position right now. They don't really have an enemy. They can kind of watch and see what happens. I see, this is not a bad play by England, except for the chain here. You want to be in the North Sea. That's fine. You actually just leave Norway open in this instance. And the move to Skagerrak from Germany is really painful in this instance. What you would expect is Kiel to Baltic supported by Denmark, and England goes to Skagerrak. And then, England is in position to, ensure that Norway doesn't fall. Germany takes Sweden if you're working together. So, I think the Sea Lion could still be on here.
I mean, now there's the option of a sneak attack on North, right? If Germany and Russia decide to collaborate here. All right.
It probably pins London into supporting North Sea.
All right. Let's see if John gets defensive or if Germany and Russia do anything surprising here. And we'll stay in the West. Doug, tell us what happens.
Convoy, Gascony to Portugal. That's going to telegraph. I mean, that's anti-English. I don't think you need to do that in this instance. I think I would have just walked up to the Irish Sea because England's not getting a build and can't do anything about it. If you're going after England as France, there's no percentage in this convoy. You get to build the a new fleet, but so what? Move your fleets up there now. I would want to be in Mid-Atlantic and Irish right now. Germany takes Sweden, but Russia holds Norway. So England's in a bit of a pickle here.
All right, in the east, Siobhan.
There are some tactical errors by our Turkish friend here. There was no way you were getting into Serbia this turn. Just force your way into the Ionian. You can cut Albania next turn. That's just unfortunate. All that potential that we saw earlier this year. Meanwhile, those Italian armies just come up over and around the Austrian, which is a lot of fun to watch. Tuscany holds fine, but why build the army in the first place? I'm going to keep coming back to that, and I think that was a big, big error on the Italians' part.
Yeah, it's tough to see an Italian get into Galicia in the fall of 2002 and feel like they're not doing very well.
Yeah.
But there's no builds behind it to back it up. On the flip side, he's he should have lost Ionia. Italy should be in a world of trouble here, and they're not quite yet,
the Turk failing to take Ionian is big here,
Yeah.
and I hope they can recover from that.
All right, let's push ahead into the builds. Winter of 1902 builds. See Austria pulling Serbia, just picking how they're going to die at that point, and France surprises with an army build in Paris.
Yeah, I want to see a fleet there. You've got 3 armies on the board. Yeah, one's in Portugal. You need another fleet there to be going this channel.
Now, on the other hand, given that Germany popped an army down here in Kiel, this army in Paris could come in handy if this goes to Ruhr and there's a supported attack on Burgundy. Interesting potential for strategic chicanery in the West. And let's push ahead and see if it happens. Here we are, spring of 1903. Let's stay in the West. And Siobhan, tell us about it. I'm sorry, Doug, tell us about
it. France has gone south to the West Med, which is interesting, and convoyed to Gascony instead, maybe sniffing out a German change in mind or an accord with England, because, he went from a position of like dominance over England and gave it away. So I would be curious what made that decision happen. I would really want to be in the Irish Sea right now. There's just no reason not to have been up there. Convoying to Gascony, that's fine. But what are you doing? Are you just playing for time, kind of waiting and seeing? Because I think France is a little bit inviting attack and inviting Germany and England to get together against him.
Yeah, at this point, why if England can make friends with Germany, why wouldn't in EG form here against France? It seems like each of them have something to gain from that. Okay, into the east with Siobhan. Tell us about it.
The Turk has taken our advice, forced the Ionian, well done. Taken Serbia, well done. The Turk and the Russian really need to get together and on the same page, because there's just, maybe the Russian isn't friendly with the Turk. I don't know. Russia gets into the Barents, which is well done. I'm curious to see Sweden drop to Denmark. Is that friendly to the English player or not?
I think that's absolutely hostile to the English player.
Yeah, that's my thought exactly. So we'll see Russia and Norwegian and Germany in North.
That's right.
And will we see Russia in Ankara, which can be taken unopposed? Let's find out right now. Siobhan, tell us about it.
Yep, there it is. Could not resist as the Turk convoys home to deal with that problem. I don't blame him necessarily, but ouch. We were wrong about Skagerrak and Denmark.
Yeah, England bought Germany's friendship here and said, you have Norway. But this isn't a bad play by Germany here. Nobody's fighting you. England's helping you into Norway. I think this is pretty good. One of the classic things to do is Germany is go north and try and secure Scandinavia, and then spread out whatever opportunity you have, whether that's into Russia or into England or France. And Stephen is doing that. This is pretty savvy, I think.
Mm-hmm.
What do we make of Italy taking Warsaw with 2 armies fully separated?
1903.
half a continent away from his home area. All right, we'll just leave that floating in the air.
I don't know what I make of that.
Like so many. Well, I'll just leave that there.
I want to flag something here.
Yeah.
Turkey like walked out of the Ionian Sea. What is happening over there?
Well, it seems to me that this game, there's a theme in this game, which is missed opportunities. We've now seen England, we've seen Turkey, possibly Russia as well, although it's more salient with France. I'm sorry, I said England, I meant France. With France and Turkey, they both had opportunities to gain tempo and stick the knife in to one of their neighbors and basically gain a position that would be impregnable, or at least would be a launching pad for something more. And they both passed them up. They either because of tactics or lack of gumption, and it's coming back to haunt them in both cases. So, okay, let's check out builds here, and what we find is that the Russian fleet in Ankara goes away very quickly, and I assume that will be followed by another unit sometime very soon. And Germany plops down an army, and we have a second fleet Venice build that we've seen today.
It was the only place he could build, and he wanted a fleet because of that unfortunate army build last year.
Right. So now he's now has a fleet in Venice and an army in Rome. And an unprotected dot over here. Oh, and I'm sorry, 2 armies also in.
This is also just a lesson. The Russian player stabbed and wound up down 2 centers. If you're gonna stab, please come out at least even, if not up, because that hurts.
It's a -2 dot stab.
Yeah, exactly.
Like -1. All right, let's keep going here. Spring 1904. Siobhan, let's stay in the east with you.
Yeah, so it looks like Turkey is letting Russia borrow Ankara for the time being and reversing on last season's moves to go right back into Greece, pulling the fleet up to Albania. Russia takes Warsaw. Have they finally figured out their differences? Yeah, that's, Venice had to go to Adriatic.
This is just the loss of tempo from going to Ionia and going back. Now trying to get in position to do it. You've convoyed one way, back the other way. Yeah. And if he had just let himself get displaced out of Ionia, he could have retreated to Tunis, have forward position, plus the...
Tunis, Adriatic, Apulia, so many interesting options.
All right, Doug, tell us about the West.
Well, I still see Stephen doing some consolidation. He's moving his units around a little bit, bringing that army up into Sweden, where it has a little more flexibility to potentially go for St. Petersburg, to support Norway. I like what's happening there. And he pulled Ruhr back to Kiel, so if he wants to hit the North Sea, he can cover Denmark from a retreat. So, Stephen is giving himself maximum flexibility with Germany right now. And then in the south, Morgante made a move here and grabbed Tunis. Some might critique, like, why are you going to NAF? But it avoids the bounce if, the chain bounce. So, that's... I see what's happening there, and doesn't really have an enemy anywhere because Germany's moved away, England's moved away, so France is just kind of, I think Tunis is mine, and grabbing a dot. So taking advantage of the opportunities that present themselves. So good move here by Morgante.
All right, let's push ahead to fall 1904, and let's stay in the West with you, Doug.
All right, so let's see. Yeah, I think I called it last time here with the cover Denmark, take the North Sea. Looked like Russia and Germany bounced in Norway. Maybe that was planned, maybe not. I don't know. In the meantime, France is kind of just hanging out and it's like, hey, Germany, I'm going to be your buddy, but I'm not letting you in. Has a fleet build probably coming in Brest is my guess. And I like what Steven's doing with Silesia is like, oh, you think you're cool over here with your army in Silesia. Watch this. You're doing nothing.
Why not kick him out here? Why not support Berlin into Silesia?
I think entertainment value.
Okay. Just the tricky self-bounce on someone else.
It's for the commentators.
It's a double cut.
You're probably right. I would probably be, using Berlin to Silesia, with support from Munich and kicking that out and possibly blowing it up or getting those units separated so that they're much weaker. Those two Italian armies are so separated from the main Italian force that they become weak and vulnerable, and separating them out further would highlight that.
Yeah, and plus Italy's going down too. All right, enough time on that one. How about in the east, Siobhan?
In the east, Turkey is making some headway into Austria. The loss of the Albanian fleet is unfortunate, but recoverable. What stands out to me most is Norwegian supported St. Pete to Norway, and Russia cut the support.
And Turkey gets Budapest thanks to Russia's support.
Yeah.
So some really nice diplomatic patience on Evan's part here, to not get too angry about the taking of Ankara and see that Russia has more value as a future partner. So
let Ankara be Russian.
So nice recovery here by Evan. All right, let's move forward into the winter phase here. Build sees Turkey plop down 2 fleets. One was a rebuild. And Russia puts down an army in Moscow. France drops the fleet Brest, not a surprise. Anyone want to make an argument that France is not in the best position here going forward?
My argument would be that we have an RT on the other side, and if France can be a little bit patient, they can make some gains. I think that they need to redistribute their forces. Germany's not really a threat, and I would want to get some stuff down in the south so that you have an opportunity to potentially set up convoys or use your fleets in concert with your armies rather than sort of just keep so compact. He needs to unwind a little bit.
So Fleet Marseille would have been a preferable choice for you here.
Yeah, I think so.
Cover up Lyon so you can displace. I mean, he probably should have supported himself into Tyrrhenian Sea this past turn. Yeah. Oh no, I'm sorry. He was in NAF, not in West.
I would have dropped Gascony to Spain, frankly,
Yep.
and then built in Marseille. I see why he's holding, and I get that he's just being a little too cautious right now. But still, the position is not bad. You don't have anyone attacking you, and France traditionally can benefit from an RT alliance, which is what I see in the East.
All right, let's push forward here. Let's stay in the East with you, Siobhan, and tell me what you see.
All right, the RT charges on, supporting the Russian armies forward as the Turk climbs up around the Balkans, gets the fleets out with no contest because there's no one there to do it. And the Austrian just moves out of Trieste ahead of them, which I find really interesting. So I'll be curious to see what sort of deal, if any, is happening there. Up in the north, put Germany into Norway. Meh. I mean,
All right.
sure.
Doug, take us to the West.
Well, the West is officially, a big, gigantic mess, a flaming pile of mess. Stephen's careful calculations have been completely ruined by France running in. This is where, not getting that Italian army out of there is making Stephen pay a little bit of a price. You could have dislodged that and given Italy a rebuild at home where it would have been more effective against France. And now France is hanging out in Ruhr and Holland. Granted, you convoyed to London and it worked. But, I don't know that you necessarily will hold it, given that France is in the English Channel and, England moved Edinburgh to Yorkshire. So this is a pretty massive reversal for Germany this turn.
So it's what the fascinating set of things here, right? Denmark gets convoyed over to London while Helgoland supports Belgium into Holland, but Holland moves, presumably worried about Helgoland just going to Kiel himself. But this is did you call this a mess?
Yeah, I called it a mess, a flaming pile of mess.
A flaming pile of mess. Good.
Trying to keep it PG rated here.
All right, let's push ahead here and stay with stay where the smoke is in the West. Tell us about it, Doug Moore.
Wait. You can't push in and dot and not follow this through. Morgante, you gotta follow this through.
No, apparently, Doug, you can push in and then not follow through.
I mean,
what do you want to see different here?
I want to see. I get the idea here. You got to cover Marseille. You're doing that from Lyon anyway. Don't burn a second unit on the hope of keeping it open. You just dotted Germany for Holland. Why are you doing a double support there? Move Holland to Kiel, supported by Ruhr, Burgundy to Munich, and launch the attack. Beg Italy for support somewhere. I mean, give him back Tunis. Like, you have all kinds of options. I don't want you to hold still. Ask England, like offer England again into London, and then all of a sudden Germany's in real trouble and you're in driver's seat. So I think this was just a little too cautious here. I don't know Morgante, but this could be a newer player to face-to-face diplomacy who, sometimes you've got to make these mistakes to grow and improve your game.
Yeah, he would have needed Helgoland to tap Denmark in order to take Kiel, but since England helped him into Holland and hitting north didn't do a whole lot anyway. Although maybe it's possible actually that England was expecting English Channel to support him into London.
Let me say one thing about Stephen here. He is a really good player and he's a very good diplomat. It's very possible that he just made a deal and said, that's fine. You take Holland. I've got London. You get a build and you'll be able to walk up to Liverpool next year and, make lemons out of lemonade. Let's not underestimate how strong of a player Stephen is here.
And I actually went to talk to this board and found out that I talked to Chris Nicholson. I was curious about Morgante's name, so I went to talk to him, and I happened to catch Chris Nicholson's ear, and he wanted me to talk. He wanted me to point out how excited he was about this particular supporting France.
The unwanted support is always really fun when you can pull it off. And I don't know if Morgante is new or not, but we have all learned that lesson at once in our diplomacy careers. We're like, I'm just going to self-bounce. It's going to be so smart. And then suddenly you're in a spot that you didn't want to be in.
Yeah.
And
Yep. The fleet. Now, if this had followed up to Lyon.
I was going to say that would have been beautiful.
All right.
Oh, wow, that would have been nasty.
All right, let's see what happens in the winter. We see another fleet from the French, this time in Brest. Germany is picking his descent, so is England. Whereas Turkey is just putting another fleet down. And, it's an interesting build here, right? Because an army would let him pull off a pretty successful stab and probably guarantee a board top.
That or a convoy to Apulia and get onto the boot.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I could have sold it that way, in fact, actually, right? But it's still a pretty good position from the Turk here, right?
Yeah, this is a great position. I mean, think of it this way. He's got Ankh behind the line, Romania behind the line, has play on Vienna, but at the same time has a pretty strong friend in Russia. And there's nothing that's going to stop Turkey at this point from getting into the boot. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
And Russia is now fleet committed to the north with the fleet south coast. This, I think, is the first fleet south coast St. Pete we've seen today. It's the first one I've called.
It is the first one. We have not seen a lot of north coast fleet builds from Russia in general.
Yeah. Or St. Pete. Yep. Okay. Let's move on into spring of 1906. And I suspect the East will be simple. So, Doug, let's start with you.
I mean, I think this is what we would have expected France to do here. This is, the best set of orders that you probably have. Go grab Liverpool for the loss of Tunis, get those fleets down there, and do the best you can to sort of, drive those back. It's not a decisive defeat down there. You still have a lot of play because Turkey wants Italy. You lose Tunis, not the end of the world. Probably more important here is, if France can work with Germany again, that's a good thing for both of them. France needs to prop Germany up to slow down the RT.
What a delightful a diplomatic work, negotiation work on Turkey's part, right? To get Italy on side and help them advance. I mean, there's just from my perspective, there's no reason why Turkey shouldn't top this board at this point.
There's absolutely no reason. There was some waffling early in the game, but he's in a fantastic position. All those dots behind the line.
And it's largely diplomatic, right? This is so far what looks like a diplomatic victory.
Yeah, I will say, depending on how the North resolves, I mean, France still has a lot of growth opportunity if they can, sort of work fast enough to shove Russia in. But Germany needs to be a part of that. France needs those German fleets.
All right, Siobhan, have we? I'm sorry, Doug. What about the? Did I just, Doug? Did I have you call the East here?
I didn't really talk about the East. I only talked about the West.
No, there isn't a ton to talk about in the East. The only thing that's super interesting to me is that St. Pete held.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is a little confusing. But everything else is kind of as expected. Well done, Turkey, on getting into Tunis. I'm gonna guess we'll see something on the boot very soon.
All right, let's push ahead to fall, and here's what we got. Siobhan, take us away on the East.
Well, nothing on the boot yet, but it's coming very, very soon as Turkey continues to push just further and further closer to the Med. It's a fantastic position. I'm still confused about St. Pete hold. Why build it at all if you don't want to use it? But
yeah, that makes
it,
2 in a row makes it look deliberate, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Anything of interest in the West? Certainly looks like it.
Yeah. We pretty clearly, have an FG. They're scared of the RT and rightfully so. And they've, pulled together. This is the instance where I like the standoff. Holland and Denmark bouncing there makes total sense. England doesn't have anything to do, so let's just make sure we don't let England splash that fleet in a dot. And then the Mid-Atlantic coming down to North Africa, I think is the right play in this instance. You've got to get those fleets down there. I'm still not hating on France's position here, that they've been patient. Now the goal is work with Germany, use your fleets in the north effectively to put Russia back in where they belong, which is, on land.
All right, let's look at the builds here. And thank you very much for playing, England. And for the rest, we have another German army. We've got a Russian army in Moscow and another Turkish fleet.
Me and an army. Hey, the first time I could sort of understand. This time, there's no need for another Turkish fleet right now.
He could still take Ankara pretty easily.
Yeah, but
don't you want to walk to Aegean Sea and be able to convoy that to Apulia? I do. I really want to.
Mm-hmm. Well, you can convoy straight into Naples right now.
I'm itching to write that order.
Yeah.
So Greece to Aegean, you're saying, and then convoy this army Smyrna.
Yeah.
This would be army Smyrna. Okay. Can Turkey top this board? Turkey has to take either Italian or Russian dots to top this board. If he takes Italian, if he takes Italian, then he probably would end up losing Tunis. Presumably, you'd think Italy would go for some sort of revenge on that. Well, let me put it differently. Who do you guys like on this board? Who would you most want to be? Siobhan, we'll start with you.
I still like the Turkish position, even without the army builds. But France is in a good place, depending on where they go from here.
And Doug?
Everybody's got a little bit of vulnerability here, is what I would say. Russia has extreme vulnerability in Romania and Ankara. Here's the thing. I think that Turkey does have a bit of an advantage in that they've got a corner position and they're extended out there. If they lose the Tyrrhenian Sea because they support Tunis, oops, I retreated to Rome. It's like, oh, bummer, So that's not even the end of the world if something like that happens. So, I think Turkey's got the best position. I think France, though, really is in a very safe spot, no real danger. And as long as they don't mess with Germany, they've got Russia pretty penned in, as long as they kind of keep moving correctly.
All right, I'm going to make a vote here. Budapest to Vienna with support from Trieste, Serbia to Romania, Smyrna to Khan to Ankh. That's
what should happen.
That would win this. That would top this board. Yeah.
That would top this board.
Easy.
I agree. And if you do the count, if you can get those 3 Italian dots as well, oof.
Even if you lose Tunis, you're still fine at that point.
I'll trade Tunis for Venice, Rome, and Naples
every day.
All right, let's see what happens. And wait.
Why support yourself to Romania?
Yeah, better if you don't want to take a swing at Vienna, better to go to Galicia. All right, Siobhan, talk us through it.
So some good calls by Brandon there, and the right time to turn. Russia appears to have sniffed it out and is pulling some armies back. I'm loving some additional fleet movement in the Med. Was not expecting that.
Yeah.
So, got a friend in Italy, it looks like, for some reason, and just those dots are there anytime he wants them.
And in the West, Doug?
I'm not sure what happened with France. It looks like those are some some misorders because there's I guess this is the price of being in North Africa rather than Spain. You lost Lyon. It's not disastrous for France. Just fall back to the Mid-Atlantic and concede that you're not going to hold there, but you can certainly hold Spain and Mid-Atlantic. The move that we needed to see here was North Atlantic, Liverpool to North Atlantic, not the Irish Sea.
All right, let's move ahead into fall of 1907 and stay in the West with you, Doug.
I'll start a little bit in the South here, which is France retook Lyon, but that's basically because Turkey's stabbing. Otherwise, you've got Germany and France still working together. Not a lot is really happening here. Stephen, I think, has done a really good job diplomatically of turning France. It's not ideal that France is still sitting in Holland and Ruhr, though.
And Siobhan in the East, somewhat surprising turn of events.
So some suboptimal moves by Turkey here. You were never going to keep Romania. Don't bother trying to support it. Try and support an attack on Vienna instead. Takes Ankara, not shocking, and says, "My bad, France. I'm going the other way."
What about the retreat out of Romania here?
The retreat out of Romania.
Would you rather see that fall forward into Ukraine, or is the defensive position in Serbia better?
I mean, he's going to build.
He's going to build
Let's
two.
see. They trade Ankh and Rum. He picks up Naples, so he's building one.
No, he's building two. Rum was Russia.
Oh, Rum was always okay. He's building two. No, I pushed that forward into Ukraine.
And just dance on the backside as long as you.
Yeah, I don't know that I agree. I think if you take a look at, he'd be in Vienna, Galicia, Romania, and then all he's got to do is go Romania to Serbia, or drop the ball. I want a forward advance, but at the same time, I'm not in the Black Sea. I don't hate it.
I just think it's more fun.
Well, that's fair. It is definitely more fun. I agree with that.
Yeah, and I mean it's a cleaner defensive line this way, right? Put down two
Sure.
armies here, go to Armenia and Bulgaria, and
For the love of all that is holy, we should not see Fleet Smyrna right now.
No need for that.
please. Yes, thank you.
Thank goodness.
Thank you, Evan. Well done.
Nicely done.
And I mean, this is a cleaner way forward.
Yeah.
Question for Evan is whether he has made too many enemies now.
No, he doesn't.
Fine.
He doesn't have to care at this point.
He's got to walk into the Black Sea. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, at some point, France has to do something else if France wants to top this board. You're sitting at 8. Turkey's growth potential is at this point. Romania, Sevastopol, can do. You're going to have some shenanigans in the south, and you've got to do some fighting, but. If you're France, you still have to grow at some point here if you want to top this board. Otherwise, you're going to cede that to Russia because Russia is the recipient of Turkish dots. So, if I think the pace of play will depend on what France does.
All right, let's move forward and see how many people collaborate to push Turkey out of these Balkan dots, and whether Turkey has a more creative set of solutions to that potential problem. Siobhan, talk us through what happens in the spring of 1908.
Oof, a whole lot of stuff happens in the spring, and everyone coordinates against Turkey. Italy supporting France in the Mediterranean Sea, Germany's dropping into Trieste, Russia takes Budapest, and the expected moves from the Turkish homeland. He made too many enemies, apparently.
Doug, talk us through the West. Has France done anything to increase his topping chances?
France is going to be sitting at 9 when they presumably retake Tunis, which should happen this year. They don't really have anything else that they can take. So, it's kind of an all-out commitment to get that one dot. Moving to Piedmont gives some play because, maybe Germany is willing to help you. Tyrolia could be helpful. You could be cutting Piedmont. You could try and get down on the boot and take the rest of Italy. So at this point, you're kind of committed to the boot. I've got to help Germany out here if I'm working with Germany, and I got to move Ruhr over to Belgium and just hang out there and just say like, okay, like we're not fighting anymore, right? I'm going to go sit these guys. Instead, you move Burgundy up to Belgium.
Yeah, France seems to have maintained possible attack capability against Germany, and Germany has a little bit of a problem here if he takes that seriously, which is that he needs to be able to open up a home center for a build, and can't guarantee that unless he's willing to take a chance on Kiel or Munich.
Right.
All right.
David Hood does point out the delayed Sunstrom opening in 1908.
Right. Oh, fantastic. Okay, let us see what happens. Well, nothing happens in the West, so
No,
Siobhan.
a lot of stuff happens in the it's the South now.
Yeah. Take the Italian boot, Doug. That's more or less the Western powers.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, Germany and France take the opportunity to wipe Italy out. And Turkey loses Tunis, so Germany's building 2, France is building 1.
Italy lives.
Yeah,
Italy
stays in Rome. Yeah.
Italy's sitting in Rome and blew up the army, so it's a fleet. So I mean, and I like Berlin going to Silesia. I know, it's like not to be a broken record, but he's got to open up a home center. He could have had 2 home centers if France would let him. But France isn't giving Germany that opportunity, and that is going to eventually cost France because Germany at some point is going to punish France for this.
This is, so I was wrong last time. I was thinking there was an army in Burgundy, so actually there was no risk in moving Berlin out. Kiel was totally protected. Okay, in the east, Siobhan, talk us through it.
Not a ton happening, a lot of support, and 1 Black Arrow Armenia going to Sevastopol, which couldn't be stopped. So, how about it?
So Turkey is losing 2, picking up 1 in Sevastopol, also losing Tunis, so going down 3.
50 unit.
So we'll be pulling 1 more here. Oh no, because he lost 2 units, so actually he'll be even on the board.
Yes.
And we are looking at a new board leader a tied board leader in Germany and France.
All right.
And we got a French fleet in Brest, which is interesting, and another German army plus 1 in the bank, I believe. Yeah, because Germany picked up 2 down here.
Correct.
All right, let's keep going here, and we got let's see, 1 more year of this game. So let's go in the West. Doug, tell us about
it. France is goes to the English Channel. That could be a defensive thing where now they're going to bounce in London, so I wouldn't panic about that. But more importantly, it has destroyed the Italian unit and has taken Rome. Otherwise, Germany is setting up a line, looks relatively content to hang out and see how things go. But, that is conceding France the board top here.
Yeah, it's surprising that way. And I think if you're Germany, wouldn't you rather negotiate a bounce in the English Channel here than let the fleet in there?
Yeah, I agree with that. Because if you misorder or something happens, then France ends up in your spot and you go down another one. I would rather be bouncing right now in the Channel, absolutely.
And now you've also got to worry about a convoy into Wales. Right. We'll see how greedy France gets. But if France has the board top wrapped up, which Germany appears to be content with.
Yeah, Germany seems to be conceding that possibility.
Siobhan, what about the East?
Turkey is making 1 last effort to tie for that board top, taking Romania from Russia. Some fleet restructuring, but should be fine. And Italy, it was nice knowing you. Good game.
And we do have in the fall Naples at risk, so if this will be interesting to see. I don't think France and Germany could work it out that Germany ends up in Rome here, unless they're willing to risk that Tyrrhenian Sea gets cut. Let's find out.
Yep, they have a spare unit. North Africa can go to West Med, so it's really not a problem.
Well, yeah, they just can't guarantee. So if Tyrrhenian Sea, they can't guarantee that Rome ends up getting in.
Yep.
But Turkey's been a little bit conservative with their moves. So let's see if they. Oh, they don't do either of them. And Germany loses. I'm sorry, I am doing your work for you, Siobhan. Tell us about these.
Yeah, Germany loses Trieste. Turkey fails to hold on to Romania, which looks like they had to choose between supporting Sev or Rum with the Black Sea, I guess. So that was a coin flip. And yeah, that's about it.
And Doug, anything in the West of note?
We talked about the likely bounce in London. I mean, Germany really didn't have a choice; they needed to do that. I'm struck by the conservative nature here of France's play a little bit. You've got the board top wrapped up, but not like forever. Try and if you're going to do this, be more aggressive. So just holding in Belgium. Belgium's not under threat. You could go to the North Sea. Looks like Russia tried to support that. So I think this is a little passive in the face of like greater opportunity. North to Holland, actually.
Yeah, English slipping into the North Sea would have been pretty amazing.
That would have been amazing. I mean, maybe they all knew the draw boat was going to come after this.
Yeah. But also, I think France needs, if they're going to attack Germany, they really need 2 more units, an army and a fleet.
Sure. I would just rather see, that bounce in London, at the very least, just keep Germany honest. And frankly, if I'm Germany, I actually want that bounce.
Yep. You'd rather stay in North. Yeah. Okay. So then this is going to be how the game ends in spring of 1910. And it ends with a French victory. Congratulations to Morgante Pell. Not only the best name, but also the top of this board. What were you guys going to say?
I was going to say, nice job. I mean, I think we talked about it before. France, Morgante was patient, and it was, was rewarded for it.
Mm-hmm.
So real quick then, why didn't Turkey end up topping this board? We thought that a well-executed stab on Russia would guarantee the board top. Was it just not well-executed enough?
It was not well executed enough. There were some errors in movement, little tactical errors where it could have been improved, bad positioning. Then everyone around him decided to jump in and beat him back. He did well dealing with that, all things considered, but there was some waffling that I think slowed him down and just made suboptimal.
And Doug, any final thoughts on this board?
I think that this was an interesting board. There was a lot of movement back and forth, a lot of, switching of alliances, which we don't often see like that. So, I do think that there were some opportunities that folks missed. But at the same time, it's, I would just want to say, without knowing how the diplomacy went, it is a little tough. That's trite for us to say, but it is important in this, given the number of alliance switches. Stephen, I think, did a really good job under threat to, recover what looked to be a really crappy position for a while.
Yeah, it was a nice, fun game with, it was more dynamic than Carnage games sometimes are. Just a sort of more back and forth, more fluidity within the alliance structure. And all right, congratulations to Morgante. And let us move on to our next game.